Hey Adam, I loved your video. I'm just so happy with all of the responses that I've gotten so far. You guys clearly are hearing all of this stuff and you're thinking about it, and the experiments you're doing are exactly the point of this assignment. So I'm really honestly so happy to hear the three bass lines that you came up with. I liked them all. The second one I did not think was too busy. You thought that it might be. I did think that you could be a little bit more deliberate about your doubled leading tones, which, doubling thirds of the chord, especially if it's a first inversion, but particularly if it's our leading tone. So I'm not saying don't do it. It does work in some cases, but just make sure that it's deliberate and it really makes sense in your musical line to have those doubled C sharps. That was one point. Another point was about what to do with the bass line in the sequence. So when we have that part, there was one of your bass notes that I didn't like as much, and it's just a register thing. I don't think you would have chosen it if we had a C string. So I'll try a couple of experiments with that in just a moment. And then the last point was more about the rhythm, actually. So even at the slow tempo, because you're hearing things so well, I would encourage you to make rhythm a part of your process from the very beginning. The last, sort of the third response that you had, which was the very, very drony one, I loved that. Now, what if you did a combination drony and some of the, more busyness of the second one, adding pa-pa, 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 something like that, that's going to communicate the gigue type of dance. So we often as musicians love to separate things. We love to separate pitch from rhythm, intonation from practicing rhythm. And I think it's much more of an expressive tool than we sometimes give it credit for. So those were the main items of feedback. Let me try a couple of things and make a few more detailed notes for you. Okay, so right there, right there in that sequence, I was doing just the root motion, let's say. And you may or may not like that. What you were doing before, loved that. If it's a sequence, I'd love to hear a low F, but we only have a G string. So that's why you played da 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 da. And to me, that just changed the color of the sequence that you were getting. And we were just talking about this in the comments from Ashley Lynn Bato from Germany was talking about, when we find a sequence, that's such a magical moment because we can just repeat the pattern and we can dance within it. But anyway, that's a long way of saying that you could experiment with a different bass line. So I'll do again the bass line, what I just did. Now maybe you don't like that because it's got parallel octaves across these big beats, right? So maybe you decide you don't like that. Okay, so then what if you started in a slightly different member of the chord and then you just did a little mini voice exchange, just change the note and add some gigue-like rhythm into it. Something like that. Anyway, so just some thoughts for you to consider further. You're absolutely on the right track. Don't let, and this is good for all of us to remember, don't let register hold you down. If you want a certain contour in your bass, like a falling fifth, and you're not able to play it on the violin, put it up an octave. You know, who says, this is all kind of a thought experiment. Who says that our bass line always has to be below the upper melody? So don't be afraid to think about that. Let the rhythm, you know, come into your creativity, your process of creation from the very beginning, even at a slow tempo. And then, yeah, just be really sensitive to your doublings when you've got particularly perfect intervals with your upper line. Make sure that's absolutely a deliberate choice and a musical choice and not one of convenience. So great work, and I look forward to more.